May we stand, please. Today is a day of celebration, and so I will also sing the refrain, praise the Lord, let the earth hear his voice. Praise the Lord, let the earth hear his word. Praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father, to Jesus the Son, and give him the glory, great things he has done. Gracious God, thank you that we can assemble as a people of a country called Liberia. And we can assemble with our friends and our loved ones, our partners, to give you the glory for great things you have done and continue to do. As we have come, Lord, to announce provisional results of the census, we pray, Lord, that you will take complete control of this ceremony. That everything that will be done here will be done to your honor and to your glory. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Well, thank you so much. At this point, we will call up the Deputy Minister for Economic Management at the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. Oh, okay. So who's going to do that in his place? What should we do? Do we have a representative? He's not too very so well, so unless you have a representative, we'll move on to the next. Chitam Sedi. Chitam Sedi should represent. Chitam Sedi should represent the Deputy Minister for Economic Management and Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, Honorable Augustus.
Honorable Vice President, Excellency George Howard Taylor, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Honorable Minister of Finance, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure today that on behalf of the government of Liberia that will present the provisional results of the national of the 2022 population and housing census, which was sponsored by the government of Liberia and with the support of the development partners. We are very grateful to the partners and those who made this census a very success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's give a bigger round of applause, please. At this point, we'll call up the Acting Director General of Legis, Mr. Lawrence George, to do for us a statement and presentation of original results, or provisional results of the 2022 National Population and Housing Census.
Your Excellency, Madam Joa Howard Taylor, Chief Dr. Joa Howard Taylor, Vice President, Republic of Liberia, Honorable Samuel D. Tue Jr., Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Chairman of the Board of Legis, Board of Directors of Legis, and Chairman of the Census Steering Committee. Members of the National Legislature, represented by Senator Nemine Batikwa and Representative Frank Safoko, Your Excellency Christina Umutuni, United Nations Representative Coordinator Madam Bidisha Pila, UNFPA country representative, members of the diplomatic corps, development partners, UN heads of UN agencies, chiefs and elders of Liberia, distinguished invited guests, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen. We have assembled here to announce and receive the provisional results of the just ended National Population and Housing Census. Pursuant to Article 39 of the Liberian Constitution, which states, I quote, the national legislature shall cause a census of the Republic to be taken every 10 years, unquote. The Liberian government, through the Liberia Institute of Statistics and Geoinformation Services, with technical support from the United Nations Population Fund and development partners, conducted the 5th Population and Housing Census, utilizing the first digital technology in consonance with the 2020 rounds of census. The project, which was slated to be undertaken in 2018, was delayed due to several factors, including but not limited to the national governance transition in 2018 and the global COVID-19 pandemic in 2019, amongst other events. However, the government of Liberia, inspired by its drive to make informed national developmental decisions through the acquisition of relevant quality data, conducted the census in phases. The pre-census activities, including the preparatory and planning phases, started in 2018, with the documentation preparation, followed by the cartographic and geographic planning and mapping exercises. This exercise produced a total of 13,835 enumeration areas across the country. We also conducted pre-tests of the census instruments as well. The project used geographic, geomapping, and spatial data and survey frameworks, census monitoring dashboards, and computer-aided interview copy technology in all of its implementation. As a comprehensive digital census, it leveraged the available technology to improve efficiency in its operations and enhance the quality of the data collected. Cascaded training were conducted from July to November 2022 for 120 master trainers, 593 training of trainers, 13,835 enumerators, 34 institutional and special population enumerators, 2,727 supervisors and geomappers. The census night declared on the 10th to November 11th was intended to commence the enumeration. However, the actual enumeration started on November 14th, 2022, due to technical and other issues that lasted up to the point of the commencement. The enumeration continued until December 18, 2022. Due to the large number of non-enumerated areas, a map-up exercise was commissioned from December 27 to the 7th of January 2023 in 8 counties, including Monserrado. A total of 13,800 enumerators, 34 institutional and special enumerators were trained and deployed nationwide. These enumerators, as stated, were supervised by the stated 2,727 trained and experienced supervisors. There were 160 census officers as district, serving in each district, and 15 county census coordinators. The completeness of the National Population and Housing Census, we are proud to report, is 97% of the projected population, which is an internationally acceptable achievement. The 2022 Housing and Population and Housing Census employed a de facto population enumeration method. The results. Highlights of the 2022 National Housing and Population Census are as follows. We are pleased to report to you, Madam Vice President, Chairman of the Board, officials of government, distinguished ambassadors, members of the diplomatic corps, our prelates, our chiefs and elders, our citizenry. Liberia's population as at now is 5,02,448. 5,248,621. With male accounting for 50.4%, which is 2,644,450, and the female accounting for 49.6%, 2,604,171%. The intercensal population growth rate is 3.0 with an average household size of 4.4. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, according to the Latest Act, only aggregated data is reported, which is an international norm for the census dissemination. All personal details are protected and removed from publication, and data sets to protect confidentiality of respondents. Please note that a presentation will be made in few minutes to give you detailed highlights of the population census. We are grateful as an institution, Legis, and as a government, to all our development partners. We cannot name all of them, all of you, but we are grateful to you. The Swedish government, I'm going to get in trouble. The Irish, the US, the World Bank, the EU, the one UN system. All the other partners who made meaningful contribution to ECOWAS, who made meaningful contribution towards the census, we are grateful. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when the census reached a state where we could no longer continue, it was the collective efforts of the government and its development partners, especially the United Nations Population Fund, that provided the courage to pick up the broken pieces and continue. As a consequence of this, today we have what would not have been the results of the 2022 National Population and Housing Census. The encouragement brought to the table by all made even enumerators who were disenchanted to put nation first ahead of payment. We like to say to our enumerators, supervisors, district officers, county officers, our colleagues in administration, logistics, and all who participated, thank you. Some of you did so with blood gushing down your faces when you were attacked in locations where you were assigned. Some of you lost personal effects. Nations could not pay you back, but we thank you for all you've done for your nation. We say to the board of directors, Minister Samuel Tue, your encouragement, the secondment of staff, and other personal interactions with leaders made possible this day. We say to members of the board, thank you for your encouragement. We say to the Vice President, Chief Dr. Joel Howard Taylor, thank you for your interventions. At times, you left your busy schedule to appear on talk shows to allay the fears of our compatriots. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Liberia's census is not only a developmental tool, but should be seen as one that will assist in mending many of our problems. For example, our geographic mapping results can now assist the government in identifying houses, so we can now have a defined postal system out of this exercise. Because the census is purely digital, we now have the means of linking with other agencies of government here, especially the National Identification Registry, the National Elections Commission, and others, to share database that will begin a one-stop shop database system for all, including passports and others. We'd like to thank you all. Liberia is moving ahead. we are progressing. There were those who felt that the census should not have been taken. We say to you, thank you for your encouragement. There was those who abstained. We also say to you, thank you for your encouragement. We have had a lot. The mopping exercise was an initiative that was unforeseen. And during this period, there were special teams. And at head of the team was a Crusader for Peace. The Crusaders for Peace The Crusaders for Peace commenced the community mobilization and media outreach that assisted in bringing out the population. We also like to thank our staff and those seconded from the Ministries of Finance and Development Planning and Public Works for your contribution. We say to you, what you've done for your country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, and we now have the team to do the presentation.
I want to thank you, Mr. George, for your presentation. We now know that the new population of Liberia, as per the provisional result, we have an estimate of more than 5 million. But the team here will be giving us detailed information about where the specific set of demographic, talking about women, men, and all the different details. They're going to be doing that shortly. As they set up, we just want to thank Mr. George and all of you. But before they come up, we'll call up the folks from the Crusaders for Peace to do for us another beautiful rendition as our team prepares to give us detailed information about how the outlook of our new population statistics look like.
We
Thank you so much. Shortly we'll call, I think we're already set now, but we just wanted to recognize our host. You know, we are here at the Monrovia City Corporation, and the city mayor is in our midst. He just joined us. Mayor Koji, we want to say thank you and welcome. We also want to welcome the Minister of Labor who just walked in, Minister Gibson, as well as the Minister of Gender, Minister Willamita Sadie Tar. And, you know, I don't want to fall prey to recognizing people. The president of the University of Liberia is also here. You know, there are a host of different officials of government. We want to say welcome to all of you. At this point, we'll call up, the rep from UNFPA to do the special presentation. Oh, okay. Mr. Wisa?
A small breach of protocol. We have indication that the mayor has to appear before the legislature. Therefore, he requests to do.
Her Excellency Manager Howard Taylor, Vice President, Republic of Liberia, members of the high table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased this morning on behalf of the technical team to present the provisional result of the 2022 population and housing census. The 2022 National Population Housing Census is the fifth in series of census conducted in Liberia in modern times. The first census was conducted in 1960, the second in 1974, the third 1984, the fourth 2008, and the fifth census is this census that we are about to provide or present the provisional results. As indicated by the Acting Director General, pre-census activities started since 2018 with geographic planning, the demarcation of the country into enumeration areas, testing of the census instruments, pre-tests, the pilot census, and so forth. There were cascade trainings across the country, starting with 120 master trainers, 593 training of trainers, 13,835 enumerators, and 2,727 supervisors. This training took place between July and November of 2022. The census instrument includes tablets, maps, questionnaire that were sourced or procured locally and internationally. UNFPA provided technical and financial support to the census in persons of Dr. Bolaji, the CTA, and we have development partners that we acknowledge at the end who provided motivational support, technical and financial support to the process. The actual census enumeration commenced on the 14th of November until the 18th of December 2022, and we commissioned a mapper exercise that lasted up to the 7th of January 2023. The fifth census is the first digital census to be conducted in Liberia. As usual, censuses are occasioned by operational and logistical challenges, which our census is not unique to. Other countries experience similar situations we were faced with. The census thematic report will be available by May of this year. A detailed analysis of all of the thematic areas that will be presented later to you. And the 5th population census was conducted in accordance with the United Nations technical recommendation for the 2020 rounds of censuses. The 5th census matched both regional and international standards and is credible, and the results have statistically verifiable footprints. We are planning a post-enumeration survey to be conducted within 3 months to determine or to evaluate the coverage and the content of this current census. So as indicated, 13,835 enumerators were deployed. 34 additional enumerators were deployed for institutional enumeration. When we say institutional enumeration, we're talking about precinct compound, boarding school, military barracks, police barracks. So there was a special team that had that responsibility to enumerate those institutions, including special population, disadvantaged youth. 2,727 supervisors were deployed, 160 district census officers, and 15 county census directors spearheaded the field work of the census. So we targeted 5.4 million people. Were able to reach 5.2 million people, and this confirmed to all of the projections we see across. The Population Reference Bureau, which is a renowned source, projected Liberia population to be 5.3 million. The World Population Dashboard that is provided by UNFPA globally estimated Liberia population to be 5.3 million, and Microtrends also estimated our population to be 5.3 million in 2022. So these are our population numbers. Moserado accounts for the highest proportion of our population, almost 2 million people, followed by Nima County. Nima and Moserado constitute almost 48% of our total population. Nima is followed by Bon County. Bon County is followed by Lofa, Margibi, Grand Bassa, Grand Gila. The lowest is River Says, and then Bapolu. So this is a pattern. If you have seen the 2008 census, it follows similar pattern. The only change we have is River Says coming last instead of Grand Cru. That's the only change in position. But all of the other counties follow similar pattern. Next. For our population growth rate, our current population inter-census growth rate is 3. Babula has the lowest growth rate. River G, Grand Cru has the highest, and Moserado is at 3.4. Next. So the inter-census growth rate is similar to other countries. If you look at Ghana, Ghana is 2.1, Guinea is 2.4, Cote d'Ivoire 2.5, Tanzania 3, Liberia 3, Mali 3.2, Sierra Leone 3.2, and Uganda 3.2. So it's consistent with best practice. Inter-census growth rates are normally not above 4. They are usually from 1 to 3 and almost 4, but it's unusual for you to have inter-census rate to be more than 4 unless there is a migration, influx of people that will influence the population. So in 1962, our population was 1,016,443. That increased to 1.5 million in 1974, and it increased to 2.1 million in 1984, and then 3.4 million in 2008, and currently 5.2 million. The change The annual growth rate between 1962 and 1974 was 3.3. It dropped to 3.4 in 1984. It declined to 2.1 in 2008 and has increased to 3.0 in 2022. Next slide. So this is the trend. We are increasing gradually. Next slide. So our population doubling time, our population as a country will double in 23 years, that is 2046. And this has a lot of implication for infrastructure, roads, health facility, schools, public utility, waste management. So as we plan, as we release the census results, we need to think about budgeting for infrastructure as our population continues to grow. Because within 23 years, our population will be more than 10 million people. Next slide. So male accounts for 50% of the population. So relatively, the male population and the female population are equal. Female is 49.6 and male is 50.4. So relatively they are the same. And this is compatible with the 2008 census. Male and female were the same. So this is not only unique to Liberia. If you look at Mali, male is 50.1, female is 49.9. If you look at Cote d'Ivoire, male is 50.4, female is 49.6. If you look at Sierra Leone, male is 49.2 and female is 50.2. Next slide. So the sex ratio is an important indicator for demography and for further analysis. There are two types of sex ratio. Sex ratio at birth and general sex ratio. The sex ratio indicates the divide or the distribution of male and female within the population. So in 2008, the sex ratio was 102.3. Currently, the sex ratio is 101.5. This also confirmed to other regional estimate or rates. So if you look at Cote d'Ivoire is 101.2. Mali is 100.5. Ghana is 97. Sierra Leone is 96, and Cote d'Ivoire and Equatorial Guinea is even more than us. Next slide. Average household size. The average household size is 4.4. It has declined. In 1984, it was 6.1, meaning 6.1 persons were eating from the same pot in the same household. In 2008, it reduced to 5.1, and currently it's reduced to 4.4. Which means that our family size are gradually becoming smaller because of modernization, because of other factors, and so our population, as development comes in, family size has to reduce because fertility also is a function of family size. As fertility starts to reduce, family size will obviously reduce. So the county with the lowest family size, I think, is Bomi, and the highest is Grand Coup and River G, 5.3 and 5. Sino is also 5. The whole Southeast is 5.5. Average household size in selected African countries, Ghana is 3.6. Cote d'Ivoire is 3.6. Liberia is 4.4. Sierra Leone is 5.6. Mali is 5.8. Next. So the population distribution by rural urban. In 2008, urban population constituted 46% of the population. Currently, it has increased by 5%, and the urban population is now 52%, which means that our urban cities are gradually expanding, which has further implication for what I've said previously. Waste management, we have to think about how we manage waste. In fact, our urban cities increased by more than 1 million people between 2008 and 2022. Other countries with high urban population includes Nigeria 53, Cote d'Ivoire 52, Ghana 57, and the Gambia 63%. Next. So the density map did not change much. The one on the left is the 2008, and what is on my right is the 2022 density map. But if you observe, all of the southeastern county, with the exception of Maryland, are sparsely populated, and the counties in central and northern region are moderately dense. But what changed on the 2022 map is that Bombing is a little bit densely populated compared to 2008. But the other counties remain the same. But Montserrat is the very densely populated city or county. It increased from 1,500 plus person per square kilometer to 2,500 plus person per square kilometer, which has implication for other things. Next. So population by nationality. Relatively, the foreign population did not change. But if you look, the Nigerian population increased by more than 150%. The Guinean population increased. Where we have reduction was in the Sierra Leonean, and then Eastern Africa. The regional population declined, maybe because of COVID, but the countries that increased, like Burkina Faso, the Burkina Faso population increased from 211 to 4,131. That is alarming, and we need to think about what is happening. From 200 to 4,000 plus Burkinabés. Next slide. Next step, we present the provisional results to the National Legislature. We are recruiting subject matter specialists to analyze the data and produce the thematic report. We will conduct the post-enumeration surveys to determine the census completeness, coverage, and content errors. Produce, and then lastly we'll produce and disseminate the final census report by May of this year. Next. These are the thematic reports. We'll be looking at administrative report. We'll be looking at population size and composition. We'll be analyzing housing condition and characteristic, fertility, mortality, nationality, migration and population redistribution, poverty dimension, labor force and employment, disability and special population, education and literacy, gender dimension. We want to look at gender in all of these analyses. Gender and fertility, gender mortality, migration and gender, agriculture and gender. So there's a whole team on gender dimension. Then we look at agriculture, we look at population projection, where will our population be in the next 50 years, projection for health, projection for education, and so forth. And then health and sanitation, youth and adolescent, and then economic activities. Next. We want to acknowledge in a special way the World Bank, the Swedish ambassador or the Swedish embassy, Irish Aid, USAID, UNFPA, and UNICEF. Next. We also want to recognize the president for the unprecedented commitment to the census. This was the highest government commitment to census since the Republic was recognized. We also want to recognize the vice president who motivated the team and went to visit the team and encouraged us and had our hands-on daily on the daily workings of the census. We also want to recognize the finance minister who was always there every day, even up to 12 midnight, to ensure that the census result is available. We want to recognize the acting DG. Every day there's demonstration and the tension is on him for payment. It's not easy to cope with the stress of payment and the census. So we want to recognize it in a special way. The Crusader for Peace, Judy Andy and the crew, we want to recognize you. We want to recognize all of our county coordinators, our county census officer, led by Alfonso, where he's the spokesperson and they did a fantastic job. Our supervisors and enumerators, we want to recognize them in a special way. And those who open the doors to our interviewers, we want to recognize you in a special way. All of the Liberians who open the household for interview and provide a useful information for planning, we want to recognize you, including all of our key stakeholders. Next. Thank you so much. And God bless you.
I want to thank you for a brilliant presentation. At this point, we'll call back up the Crusaders for Peace as we prepare for remarks by the different dignitaries here. We'll call up the Crusaders for Peace to do for us a cultural performance. Can we give another bigger round of applause to the Crusaders for Peace? Thank you. At this point, we'll call up the UNFPA rep, Madam Bedisia Pale, to introduce to us the UN resident coordinator, Christine Umotoni.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Chief Dr. Juan Howard Taylor, Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Honorable Ministers present here today, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to stand on earlier protocols and wish everyone a very good afternoon. We stand here at a significant milestone for Liberia, the publication of the provisional results of the 2022 National Housing and Population Census. A census is the most complex and extensive peacetime exercise that any country can conduct. And it is never without challenges, as we heard. And so Liberia should be very, very proud to have overcome its share of challenges and complete the fully digital census, which meets regional and international standards. So congratulations again. Many thank yous have been said, but from my side, I really would like to thank all of our partners, the government of Liberia, our donors, the technical teams in Census and UNFP who worked tirelessly, our field census teams, and most importantly, I think the people of Liberia for your commitment and support to the completion of a successful census. But as we've heard a lot of numbers, the purpose of the census is never just the numbers. Sustainable development cannot be achieved without ensuring that all women, girls, and young people, including men and boys, enjoy the dignity and the human rights to expand their capabilities, secure their reproductive and health rights, find decent work, and contribute to economic growth. Developing policies and investments to secure that future requires that governments know the size, the sex, the location, and the age structure of their present and future populations. Countries with the greatest demographic opportunity for development are those which are entering a period in which the working age population has good health, good quality education, decent employment, and a lower proportion of younger dependents. This census provides us with that data, and we are incredibly proud to have been part of this significant milestone for Liberia. We really do hope that the data will be used to realize Liberia's demographic dividend, because it really is a dividend. But to share more about this census, what the data means for Liberia, and our commitment to this as one UN, I would like to introduce our new resident coordinator, Ms. Christine Umotoni. A few words about our RC. Ms. Christine has served as UN resident coordinator in Mauritius and Seychelles right before coming here. She's coordinated the UN's work there, represented the UN Secretary General in a multi-country setting. She's also served as the UN Resident Coordinator, Humanitarian Coordinator, and UNDP Resident Representative in Eritrea. Prior to that, she was the UNDP Country Director in Zimbabwe between 2009 and 2012. She's also worked with the government of Rwanda in various capacities. She's been the Rwandan ambassador to Uganda, to Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, the EU, and the Vatican. Before I conclude and invite her, one very special fact which she's allowed me to share about her, and this is important for census and birth registration. It's Christine's special day today, it's her birthday. But I welcome you now, Christine, to come and give your remarks.
So we put a birthday song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Your Excellency, Chief Dr. Joel Howard Taylor, Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, my dear sister, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of both Houses of Legislature, traditional and religious leaders, senior government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, international partners, the UNFPA representative, colleagues, heads of agencies, dear UN staff, private sector, civil society organizations, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Thank you for the birthday wishes. It means I was counted at birth. I like one of UNFPA's quotes, which says, when you don't count, like 1, 2, 3, 4, you don't count, like you don't matter. So when you don't count, you don't count. This means that data, and particularly census, is very important to any country. It provides us the baseline for where we are and propels planning and progress, because if you know where you are coming from, it's easier to know where you are going. Basically, if you know your baseline, you can also measure your growth. Therefore, I am deeply honored to join you all at this historic event, marking the official release of provisional results of 2022 Liberia National Population and Housing Census. The release of the provisional results in a record time, just less than 2 months following the end of the enumeration phase. You can clap again. Is just a significant milestone to be proud of as a country. Personally, it's a great honor to be associated with this success in the few weeks of my assignment in this beautiful country. On behalf of the United Nations, I extend deep appreciation to the government of Liberia for leading this census. And the reason we celebrate really is that from where I come from, success breeds success. We celebrate every success, every small, big success, because it can only propel you higher. So congratulations again. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart our partners, and for those who participated in this census. They've been mentioned, but our partners in general. But for this census, Sweden, Ireland, World Bank, USAID, and ECOWAS, you really, really did a great job. Thank you so much for supporting. A big clap for them. I'm grateful to the United Nations family, particularly UNFPA, for leading our efforts to support Liberia deliver a census which meets international standards. And I say the UN family because sometimes it's an agency like UNFPA is leading something important like this, but as you can see, all the other agencies are behind this, because this means that then you know what's going on in women and refugees and children and development and all our arms of the UN family. So that's why we call it the One UN. You may lead as a head of agency in one issue, but we are all behind this issue. My greatest appreciation goes to the people of Liberia in the country and also the foreign residents for their cooperation and for allowing the census enumerators access to their homes and responding patiently to the census questions. As we have been told, the 2022 Liberia National Population and Housing Census is Liberia's first fully digital census, consistent with the United Nations global principles and recommendations for the 2020 round of population and housing census. So again, This is a milestone worth celebrating, and I have already given this report to the UN Secretary General. It's really great. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today, with major demographic shifts and increased attention to international development, accurate and timely data are more critical than ever. The unique advantage of the population and housing census is that it represents a country or region's entire statistical universe, down to the smallest geographical administrative area. Census provides much needed data for evidence-based decision making in various settings, including designing, monitoring, policies, and programs. Where I sit, whenever they bring me numbers, I keep telling them, tell me what it means. I cannot understand. Tell me what it means. So the analysis that follows the numbers is very important for decision makers like the president, the vice president, the leaders who are here. Often a national census is the only source of information for identifying forms of social, demographic and economic exclusion, such as inequalities by geographic location, ethnicity, religion, and other characteristics. In our drive to leave no one behind, such information is very critical. The census also provides data on disadvantaged regions and vulnerable groups such as the poor, the old, people with disabilities, migrants, refugees, and adolescents, young girls. So up to 107 of the 231 unique indicators of sustainable development goals, mark this, up to 107 of the 231 unique indicators of the SDGs require data for monitoring, and censuses are a vital source. Censuses also provide the basis for delivering samples of households for national surveys and production of granular baseline population data disaggregated by age and sex that support operations and decision-making in the initial response to a humanitarian emergency. No doubt, the conduct of the National Population and Housing Survey during the peace era in Liberia is significant. And I say peace era because somebody wrote, helping me with this speech, wrote in the post-conflict, and I deleted it. The word conflict does not appear in my vocabulary. Where I come from, we promote peace. So we call it the peace era in Liberia and not the post-conflict era. No, it's the peace era. The release of the provisional results means that Liberia now has reliable new and non-sector data that we can all use immediately and going forward. With the analysis of the census data based on the various thematic areas, there will be updated demographic, social and economic data to support Liberia's development activities for tackling implementation of development goals. And I understand soon Liberia will be reviewing its Propua development plan. So you can imagine the importance of this census. What does this mean among many things? And I won't take much of your time, but it means that the census will provide updated data to aid policies to reduce inequalities across various sectors of society and decision making for future government services based on specific population needs and location and distribution. It means the census will provide data that will be used for businesses, obtaining data on business and their location. It means that the census will provide data that will be used for labor force participation, providing data on employment status. It means that the census will provide data that will be used for education, i.e. understanding the level of population literacy, identifying localities where new schools may be needed. It means that the census will provide data that will be used for health and well-being, i.e. providing data on location of hospitals, health centers, and other health facilities, providing data on maternal and child mortality, data on how long people live on average, life expectancy. It means that the census will provide data that will be used for water and sanitation, improving sanitation using the information on solid waste disposal, wastewater disposal, toilet facilities, and so on. It means that census will provide data that will be used for geographical utility, identifying new locations, establishing boundaries of localities and constituencies. It means the census will provide data that will be used for identifying the current housing needs of populations. It will provide data that will be used for ICT by understanding ownership of smartphones and other ICT devices. Basically, the census is like a mirror where every aspect of the country is seen, and that will honestly help your planning and growth. As I conclude, with the release of the provisional results today, the United Nations in Liberia stands ready to continue working with the government, international partners, and all stakeholders to ensure the release of final results as scheduled is made. We also stand committed to working closely with the government and all stakeholders to ensure that the data is analyzed and used to ensure robust policies and programs that reach everyone, including those farthest behind. And as I already said, as we look to those things that will propel us in our growth, we call them drivers of growth, as we look to a new development plan, even as the UN, as we look to a new cooperation framework, this information is going to be critical. Once again, I congratulate the government and the people of Liberia on this important milestone of concluding a successful census. I look to continuous partnership. As I told you, success breeds success. I am so confident that we are going to have a very successful and peaceful elections even after this. Thank you so much.